Uncle Sam in the U.S. Army is probably my greatest mentor because, I would have sergeants that would say, never ask somebody to do something that you're not capable of doing. Things that I do ask people to do, which is drive sales and take good care of our clients, and pick up the phones and process the, applications that they need to do, I've done, I will do. And I would hope they still see me doing those things today.
Welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm Zach Ewell, content producer here at Leader's Edge. In this episode of our Personal Lines podcast series, Associate Editor Chris Hann interviews Eric Diamond, CEO and President of Marshall+Sterling. Diamond shares how joining the military helped bring structure into his life, the lessons he learned while serving our country, and who inspires his leadership style today. Give it a listen.
Personal Lines with Eric Diamond, President and CEO of Marshall+Sterling. Eric, thank you for taking the time.
Good morning.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You were kind enough to send me some biographical information, and on that, you talked about going into the Army right after high school. You said you enlisted in the Army because you needed more structure. Now, I'm thinking that's a fairly enlightened 18-year-old who understands that he needs more structure at that stage in his life. But tell me what you mean by that. What were you hoping the Army would do for you, and did it do that?
Well, growing up as a kind of a street kid in Long Island, New York, in the mid '80s, we were out and about and running around, and unfortunately for me and probably most of the kids I knew, what happens beyond high school was kind of a blurry mystery. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I still really didn't have a clear path. I was probably fortunate enough to have some people around me that were like, Eric, going off to college and trying to figure it out there is not the best solution for you. So maybe the military might be a great approach. And I remember a good friend of mine at the time took me down to a local recruiter, happened to be a Marine recruiter. And I remember looking at the guy across from me and the posters on the wall, and they were real kind of, rough, tough Marines doing some really great things. And I was like, God, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if that's me. And I walked out thinking, nah, I don't think the military's for me. Well, fast forward a few weeks later, couple incidents happened with a few friends, and they're like, Eric, you might want to think about that military thing again. I went to the Army recruiter, and I remember telling him, I would never want to be like a frontline guy and with the guns, and maybe is there something I could do that's a little easier and a little less rigorous? And he's like, yeah, he's like, let me set you up as a supply clerk. You go in the military, you'll all you have to know is how many rolls of toilet paper there are, and it'll be pretty easy time. I said, all right, that sounds good. Well, I was supposed to be on the delayed entry program, which was going to take about a year to get that job and that position in the military. I said, that's not really long enough. What else do you have? He says, well, I have something going to Hawaii. It's light infantry. And I said, Hawaii? Great. Sounds amazing. I'm in. Well, little did I know at the time that light infantry meant I was actually that guy, that soldier, that foot soldier out in the woods running around with the guns, with the face paint on and the whole deal. But, life is a lot about luck. And I was very fortunate enough to go into the U.S. Army, into the in as a light infantry soldier, and learn that discipline. And what the military does teach you, it teaches you how to appreciate a lot of the things that you have, because when you don't have them anymore, you get a great appreciation for them. So I did that for 3 years. I was fortunate enough to be in Hawaii, but the training was intense and absolutely amazing. And I learned a great deal. And really, for me, it was the foundation of, I think, my career from that point forward. A lot of what I do today, still that discipline, that resilience, that lead by example is just ingrained and instilled in me, and it comes through in everything I do now.
Who were your childhood heroes?
Childhood heroes. I think ultimately, my father. He just, he was just an amazing guy. He super bright, maybe one of the best salesmen I've ever met. He
Hmm.
had a long career in sales. And for me, I think if you asked me when I was probably 14, 15, Eric, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I'm going to be a Major League Baseball player. I was going to follow my father's footsteps, be a pharmaceutical sales rep and work for a big pharma company and go out and do the job he did. And it seemed to make sense. And again, what I kind of aspired to at the time.
Was he expecting you to follow in his footsteps?
No, I think he actually thought it was a terrible job and didn't really love it. But we grew up in a very middle class family, and he was extremely well read, smart guy, and he actually attributes a lot of his education reading magazines in doctors' offices,
Yeah.
learning a lot about science and in the medical field, but. Yeah, I don't think he had great desires for me to go into that business. But, when I left college, actually trying to pursue a pharmaceutical career is kind of how I fell into insurance. So and I use that term fell into insurance because I'm not sure a lot of people, at a teenager say, I really want to be a insurance salesman when they get older. So,
I
but
get a lot of that.
yeah, I'm sure. So I think the term fell into it but yeah, I fell into it through pursuing a pharmaceutical career.
Had you always had entrepreneurial aspirations?
Yeah, I think even as a kid, I was, anytime I had an opportunity to, even do the basic things, right? Go out and shovel a driveway and hustle up some money so we could go play video games, cut lawns or do a fall cleanup for somebody in the neighborhood. Again, just always like that kind of mindset as a kid. But as I entered into the corporate space and I worked for Aetna US Healthcare, I think the thing that really drove me to be more of an entrepreneur is kind of control your own destiny, right? Call the shots. And I learned quickly, that is really hard to do in a very large corporation like that. And although there's great structure and great resources and I got amazing training from them, and I'm very fortunate to have had that because again, that has stayed with me for a very long time. I just felt like, I could represent more than just this one company. I think I could represent many companies. I could, instead of kind of, for lack of a better word, slinging insurance for a carrier, I could be more of an advocate for clients and getting them into the best places and having better discussions about risk management and helping them avoid risk and versus just placing insurance. So that's a bad thing. It's part of the equation, but the other part of the equation was much more appealing to me of being an advocate for my clients and helping them through and navigate the world of risk.
You mentioned earlier management style. So I'm curious, what three words might your coworkers use to describe your management style?
I would hope what three words would come to their mind would be lead by example. I would
Okay.
really hope that because that is the management style I feel like I exude. There is nothing. That is the thing that I learned from the Army. And when you asked me about mentors before, I think Uncle Sam in the U.S. Army is probably my greatest mentor because I would have sergeants that would say, don't never ask somebody to do something that you're not capable of doing. And that always just stayed with me. Now, granted, I can't hook up our computer systems or work on the servers or do a lot of things in our business, but I certainly could learn. But the things that I do ask people to do, which is drive sales and take good care of our clients and pick up the phones and process the, applications that they need to do, I've done, I will do. And I would hope they still see me doing those things today.
Is there a business leader in any industry who you most admire?
I listen to a lot of Jamie Dimon, right? JP Morgan, right? He's just an amazing leader, I think, and just extremely bright and has grown an organization, to just an unbelievable level. And funny, people always ask me if I'm related, although his name is spelled completely different than mine, but it's Diamond, but not
Yeah.
Diamond. But yeah, he's just I think somebody for sure that I admire.
You mentioned the influence of Uncle Sam. Give me an example of maybe a lesson that you learned in the Army that you have carried over into your business life.
Yeah, I think it's just accountability.
Mhm.
That is the biggest thing. I feel every day in my professional life that I'm just asking everybody for accountability. Just step up, take it on, do your best, ask questions, and listen. If you fail, that's okay. That is okay. Hopefully, you learn something, right? Next time, figure out where you went wrong and change the steps so you have a better outcome. The military was all about accountability. It's accountability to yourself, accountability to those around you, right? The greater accountability, right? Defending our country. So there's a lot, and I think a lot of people shy away from that, and I kind of hold on to that pretty tightly to make sure I'm always accountable, again, to myself, to my family, to Marshall and Sterling, the employees who work there. It's a lot, but I feel if you take it head on, you own it, you feel good about it, and more times than not, it works out for the best.
That was Associate Editor Chris Hand interviewing Eric Diamond. I hope you enjoyed it. For more episodes of our Personal Alliance podcast series, go to leadersedge.com.